What is the Mishigami? It's not just about riding a bike a long way. It's about the challenges you face and you have to fix.
The Mishigami is a self-supported bikepacking race.
Circumnavigating Lake Michigan.
It starts and ends in Chicago.
People will think, oh, it must be a couple hundred miles, but ends up being 1,100 miles.
It takes you from Chicago, Illinois, up through Wisconsin, around the UP, down lower Michigan, into Indiana, and then back to where you started from.
Mishigami originates from the Ojibwa term for Lake Michigan, meaning great water.
This race for me
Was a challenge.
It shows you how far you can go.
That mental picture is not going to be what your ride turns out like, and that's okay.
The clock doesn't stop, even if you do. You keep going until you cross that finish line or you quit.
Finding my limits. That's what Mishigami is.
All right, real quick. If you run into any issues, don't call me. Figure it out. You are responsible for you. I think there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. Hope you find new limits, learn something about yourself, and have a good time out there. Let's go.
Coming out of Chicago, heading north, we had an amazing tailwind basically all day.
The highlight of the 2024 edition for me was clearly day one, because I'm so competitive, and Tim and Sarah and Jason were clearly so competitive as well.
Day one was home turf. This was the part of the race where I had done every single mile of the course. I knew where I was, I knew what was there. What I didn't know that day was that I was going to be fast at this.
It was me and Jason that were kind of just out in front of the rest, and for most of the time he was 200, 300 meters out in front of me. So we were coming through Kenosha, and he's still there, but I'm getting a little closer, coming back towards him, which is very silly because within the first 5 hours, you're not going to win a race like this. And I'm basically on his wheel by the time we get to the north side of Kenosha. And then I go over these train tracks, and somewhere on the other side was this screw that went all the way through my tread and then out the sidewall of my tire. Immediately just flatted the whole thing. It's a good thing I brought a pocket knife that had a can opener because I could pry the screw out, because it was lodged up in there. It was all the way through. I put some plugs in there, and then I was off again.
My first real stop was right outside Milwaukee. That was at mile 100. I stopped there, had lunch, met like 2 people immediately. We told them what I was doing, and they wanted to take pictures. That's actually where Sarah caught up with me.
The constant overtaking and vying for the lead, it was just too much fun. If to say you're going to go 240, 280 miles in one day and it's fun, for me personally, I think was the highlight of it all.
Going into the Milwaukee area, it was just like, whoa, this is huge. I don't remember Milwaukee like this.
I do my best thinking on long rides. I mean, you don't really have much else to do, especially if you're riding solo. So I sort of work out life's problems.
The most important thing, if you're your only conversational partner, is that you want to be with somebody who's generally upbeat and generally has a good attitude about things, and not with somebody who's a Debbie Downer, honestly. And so I worked pretty hard on that.
The ending in day one, we were in Manitowoc.
My goal was to get to Oconto, regardless of what anyone else was doing. And if anyone else was going to go through the night, then I was going to go through the night.
I rolled up and I saw Tim was at a restaurant. So I got 2 burgers and I sat there and talked to him about camping, because we were both going to camp that night. Meanwhile, I saw David go by.
I get to Oconto and I saw that everyone else had got their heads down for the night, and Tim was like 40 miles back, I think. So I found a quick trip and knuckled down for the night. I slept on a park bench with my little sleeping bag and my down jacket.
The next morning, I had to cross over to Green Bay.
My favorite part is the hilly section between Two Rivers and Green Bay.
It was gorgeous.
It just makes it fun because you're just up and down the hills.
So then you get into Marinette, and that's when you start following the Menominee River.
I woke up in the morning, I was feeling great. I had breakfast. It was Tim still 40 miles back and Jason and Sarah behind him. Got this in the bag. Until I got on the bike and started moving, then I realized I had a problem.
Like I say, somehow, I don't remember how or where, I cut my leg yesterday. Don't know. And it was tender, but it didn't hurt. But when I got on the bike this morning, I couldn't put any power through the stroke because it's really sore. So there's a Walgreens down there, so the pharmacist gave me some stuff and told me to take a break. Yeah, yesterday was fun. Yesterday was great fun. This morning, not so much, so I'm going to give it a day, see what happens.
I'd gone 40 miles and I couldn't put any pressure on my calf muscle. I couldn't figure out why. So I thought, well, shit, wait for Sarah. Well, she's back there. And when I zoom in on the map, she was having like Chinese for lunch or something like that.
I timed my waking to the time when the Chinese place was going to open. So I was like, okay, if we wake up at 4:30 in the morning, we're going to hit that Chinese place at 11:30. They open at 11, and so I probably won't be early, but I'll hit them right when they're open. And I hit it at 11:15, full plate of food by 11:30.
Is this Sarah?
I knew that there were a couple of other really strong guys who were there, but I didn't know where they were. I knew Jason was just behind me.
Seriously, I scoped that joint out. And I was counting it off for like 80 miles, like China King and Marinette, it's coming.
And David told me, well,
yeah,
you've pretty much got second wrapped up here. It's you and Tim. I was like, I'm in second place?
Yeah, I have a bunch of nieces and nephews that are pleased that Aunt Sarah's hanging with the fast boys. Yeah. For now. We'll see what happens.
I don't know. I think you got second place in the bag.
I don't know about that, because you're ahead
of the day.
What? What happened?
I can't put any power down on the pedal. I cut my leg yesterday. It was tender.
Oh.
And this morning it's sore.
And it really hadn't hit me that I was in it to race it. Even at that point, until David said that. And then he planted the seed. Like, hey, you know what? You're better than you think. Even in that moment when he was down, he was such a champion that he kicked me in the pants and said, look, go up there and get it. This is your race. And I appreciate that from him very, very much.
Tim's up the road. I think he's going to be up the road.
He's flying.
He had the eye of the tiger.
Yeah.
But I don't think he got his Chinese food.
Day two, I made what was absolutely my biggest mistake of the whole race. I had come through one of the gravel sections. I was still worried about my tires, so I checked it, and it was definitely lower than I wanted it to be. So I had come up on this road. There was a big old tree right there, so I said, great, there's shade. I'll just pump this up really fast. And then my valve core came unthreaded, and then my mini pump broke. There was a house across the street, so I had walked up there, but it didn't seem like anybody was home. And so as I was walking back down, I see this SUV with two bikes on the right turn in right by the tree where I had stopped. And so I went running and waving my hands and calling for them. Turns out it was just you guys, the only people that I could not accept any help from, which was a huge blow. Although thankfully, like minutes later, there was somebody coming down the street with a pickup truck who stopped and said, there's a gas station right up here, and let me throw my bike in the back. So I have no CO2s and no pump right now. He drove me down there. He even waited for a minute and was going to drive me back because you have to go restart your route from the point that you leave it. But then the tube that I was trying to put in had a faulty valve. I'm going to set up brand new tubeless right now. Tire. Shouldn't have tried to fill it up. That was a mistake.
I'm loading up food because I'm getting early starts, and so I have to get dinner and breakfast. And so, loading it all up. This is McDonald's breakfast burritos. Okay. And then I'm on my way to Domino's, and I'm gonna carry a pizza a mile. If I keep going this fast, I'll get in trouble, but I'll get myself out of trouble. Yeah, that's good trouble to have.
I was out of CO2s. I had nothing and was looking at the whole upper peninsula of Michigan that I was about to cross, where there is almost nothing. So I ended up having to detour right after that.
I will eat anything but Subway. And in Gladstone, it was either Subway or Domino's. I just got cheese because it goes down good.
Yeah, I had 5 miles each way to get to Walmart in Escanaba. Got a new mini pump and an extra tube. And did not have CO2s. But that means I can actually fix something. I have no idea what was going on with my pump. It just did not work. Good to go now. A little bit of self-inflicted damage, a little bit of really bad luck, I think. Well, that's why I borrowed a pen, as I'm trying to adjust, because I had so many detours to see where I am and how much farther I got to go and how much further I want to go tonight. I didn't make it quite as far as I had initially planned, but the next morning I was able to make contact with Sarah, and then we rode together for basically the rest of the day.
Because I was not at the tip of the spear, I had already lost those two. Those two, they hammered it out. Tim was much lighter packed. Sarah was so dialed into her mileage and being able to just jump in a hotel and then just go at 4 in the morning. When I was going through it, I always I felt like I was like the ragtag bunch, like screwing up in my camping, you know, then getting lost, and then I was always trying to catch up to them. It was kind of funny that way.
I wake up in the morning and it's like I'm in trouble here. So I look at the map, and it was easier to go forward to St. Ignace and then try and figure out how to get home from there. I got a hotel and I typed a message saying I was going to scratch, but it took me like an hour to actually press the button because I didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to do it. And eventually I was like, I knew, and send. And when I did that, I went to a bar and had a beer and then tried to figure out how to get home from there.
The most challenging thing for me was the UP. It's pretty remote. The map kept telling me to turn around, but I would zoom out and zoom in, and it would say I was en route. I found that kind of hard mentally at that point because I was tired and it was hot.
But I tell you what, Highway 2 is unbelievable. And I was hoping, I actually think, last night was pretty awesome until that cold hit. And now it's cold. And I looked at my weather map and it said 45 degrees. And I was gonna get up at like 4:15, trying to catch Sarah and Tim. You try to put your thermals on at like 3 in the morning. You're like completely unconscious. I'm in a bivy sack like big garbage bag, right? Trying to take a piss, trying to put my clothes on, and then to get back in a hammock. It was impossible. I might as well have been a drunk sailor. Finally got some sleep, and then my buzzer went off. I looked at my watch later. It was literally a 1 in training readiness. It said rest. It made me laugh.
It was really nice to have company going through all of that space between these little towns. We rode together all the way into St. Ignace and then caught the shuttle across the Mackinac Bridge. Which just involves throwing your bikes into the back of a pickup and somebody drives you across and drops you off the other side.
And so I get across, I pay my money. I got into the city, found a Days Inn, and it was nice to get a shower and kind of look at the weather that was coming in.
So then we reconnected with the route where the ferry would come in and then continued on. We passed this point where there was a roadwork sign that said, you know, detour here, you can't get through ahead, which on a bike you're always a little bit skeptical of. So we decided to test it, wanting to stay en route, but sure enough we come up to a spot where there's just a bridge completely out. So I started going on this like very overgrown walking path and then look back expecting Sarah to be right behind me, and she is nowhere to be seen.
Lakeshore was out. Tim kept going because he had a better bike for like bad shit. And I just bit the bullet and took the detour, so we split up. I have no idea where he is. But yeah, I figured he probably found a good way through. And then, but yeah, the detour spit me out at Cross Village.
I hit the tunnel of trees at Golden Hour, which was absolutely spectacular.
And it's just this narrow, flowy, fast, beautiful road. It's one of my favorite parts of the course.
I managed to keep a positive outlook through most of it, but I was a little afraid around the edges at that point because that was the part right after I had to go around the 10 miles and had lost Tim.
It's like, you know, okay, look, I can break my ankle and take myself out of this, or I can just take the goddamn U-turn, so that's what I did. At this point, I'm sleeping in Charlevoix tonight no matter what. I had to redo all my hotels. Yeah, that's the price you pay for being a princess, right?
Little Traverse, that bike causeway, I was so happy to see it. I was on the lakefront, the waves are crashing, you couldn't have it much better.
Just awesome. Wind is light, so is the rain.
And then I hit a fence.
What the fuck is this? I gotta backtrack. That blows.
This fence basically said, don't go past it. But the route went past it.
It was right where it was like, I'm supposed to go, there's no way through there. And there's a busy road up there, and to be honest, I was like, oh God, I'm gonna have to go on that busy road late at night. What the heck? I was actually saying a lot of words that I'm not gonna say on this interview. And there you guys were.
Well, howdy ho.
Oh, fuck you guys. I'm not talking to you right now.
Okay, all right.
No, just leave me alone. It was maybe 3 deep breaths later that I realized they know what this is and that I'm going to find a safe way out of here. And sure enough, there was a protected bike lane that was right next to the big road that led you to the path, and it was fine. But before those 3 deep breaths, I absolutely wanted to kill you.
Shit.
And I thought to myself, well, obviously I have to go past this because the route says it. I get around it, I ride probably 15 feet, and the whole thing is washed out. I'm now committed because I'm not gonna go back around that fence, so I'm gonna press forward. So I press forward, I climb all the way up back onto this next section of path. And then it washed out again. And I'm like, I think I've made a significant mistake.
This whole trail is blown out. I'm just going from one section to another, having to climb like a goat. Just killing me, Smalls. It's like the third fence.
I clued in after a while, like, hey, he meant it when he said, figure it out. And the truth is I had figured it out. I just didn't know I had.
This section today was awesome. I mean, Wisconsin, I liked a lot of it. It was kind of cool. This was stellar. For some reason, my SRAM is, I think it may have, I don't know what's wrong with it, but the last 2 gears want to go into the spokes. So I can only go down to probably like I think 38, right around there.
When I was coming into Traverse City, I saw there was a bike shop there called Einstein's. I noticed it was like right at their closing time, probably within the last 5 minutes. I'm like, hey man, do you mind seeing if you can fix my bike? He fixed that bike, and man, it shifted great. So I was really happy coming into Traverse City.
It rained for most of the 4th day of the race, which was basically after I made it through Traverse City. There's another little town I got in and was charging some stuff and kind of looking at the forecast, and it was just clear that you're gonna have to ride through this. The next 7 hours was in rain.
It was raining all day. At that point, my brakes weren't working particularly well. They were sounding terrible. All my stuff was wet. The temperatures were dropping. I was hungry. And so I just stopped for a second, laid down on a picnic table, and just thought about, okay, I've got a lot of problems here. What's the solution to all of these problems? And fortunately, there was a handicapped accessible hotel room that was available at a hotel in Manistee. I planned out what I was going to do when I got there. Took all of the wet clothes out, put them in the hotel dryer, called up Domino's, wheeled the bike into the shower, fixed the brakes, washed the bike off, got it tuned up, it's perfect. Okay, one problem solved. Domino's Pizza's there. I ate. 2 problems solved. Laundry out of the dryer. Dry. Clean. Fine. 3 problems solved. Okay, now I've got to think about how I'm going to win this race. And I had noticed, dot watching, that Tim went to bed about 10:30 every night. I said, okay, I'm going to wait for his dot to go out, and then I'm going to wake up and jump and see if he stays asleep. And if he does, maybe I'll gap him.
This is kind of my Hail Mary, but I feel really good. Biggest mistake so far was new bibs. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because like the padding's all new. So they tore up my ass on day 2. And it hurts too bad to fall asleep. So like everything's just clicking into place.
As we were crossing the Upper Peninsula, where, Tim and I are chatting, and he says, yeah, this is my first day on dirty bibs. And I looked at him and I said, gross. And he looked at me like somebody who knew something I didn't. And here's the thing he knew that I didn't. Never wash your bibs with soap if you're going to be wearing them day after day after day, because you don't get all the soap out of your bibs. Soap is a skin irritant.
So I'm pretty psyched, man. Because we're about 5 miles from my 50-mile point. If my math is right, it should be about 400K to the finish. And for me, that's bite size. Jack, I'm gonna be in a little late.
The idea was absolutely to let him fall asleep, thinking that he was far enough ahead, and catch him off guard and just jump him in the middle of the night, because it was the only shot that I had to win. I was confident, and there was something exhilarating about riding at night. It felt really good to think that I was bearing down on Tim and closing the distance and just hammering while he was sleeping unsuspecting. He was not sleeping unsuspecting. And then, of course, the second that I get within an hour of him, his dot goes, and then it's all over. It's doggone it, and he wasn't going to let it happen. It was a great moment for me because the whole time I didn't know whether to take myself seriously. And at that time, it was like, no, you're a bike racer. Go race your bike. You know what you have to do to win. It's a long shot, but you have to take it.
This is the first time after 5 days on a tour that I haven't been chased by a pack of wild dogs.
There was a little post office. That's when I kind of said, all right, what can I get out of my pack?
Shoes, hammock with a mosquito net, rain fly, ridgeline string, I think some clothes.
Came out with about 5.5 pounds. I lost all of the weight on my front handlebars and most of the weight in the back. It felt a lot better.
Indiana sucks, man. You think it's so close and it's so far. One of the bike paths is kind of nice, and then one of them is really, really bumpy. I went to bed last night at like 11 o'clock Central, and I checked the tracker, and Sarah had just started moving. So I was like, oh man, she's gonna ride through the night. And so I changed my alarm to 1 hour earlier and was riding just before 3:30 Central Time.
It's 1 o'clock, it's 2 o'clock, I'm getting the sleepies and I'm watching the tracker, I'm like, damn it, Timmy's getting away. And I was having like sleep attacks literally and having to stop every 10 miles to like take a 5-minute nap on a picnic table. I was seriously gonna call it and just get a hotel and say, screw it. And yeah, I pulled over at a Shell station, you know, like, fuck it, I'm getting twin snakes. I ate half the bag of twin snakes and just came back from the dead. Boom. I was awfully proud of today. Really, really, really proud of today because I had 140 really bad miles. And Jay, thank you for coming.
My God,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did an incredible job.
Thank you for
Awesome
coming.
race.
I take a left on Randolph, and there's all these buses and traffic. And I get behind a commuter, I'm like, if there's one person that's gonna get me through here, it's this commuter. I hit some bump, and man, I thought it was raining. There's this stuff spraying all over me, and my sealant just went ballistic on my body. Like all that pressure, just, and then suddenly my tire was flat. I was like devastated. I even flipped the bike over. I'm like, do I swap it out now? I'm like, no, don't do it, don't do it. So I start walking it. And at this point, my Garmin's not working at all. And I got my phone in my hand. I've got a bike in one hand, and I'm walking. And then suddenly, I look to the left, and I see everybody right there. I was maybe like 300 feet away from the Specialized, and I was just standing there. It was kind of a typical way I would come in.
Hey, it's the best time to get a flat.
Check it out. Got bit
Did you?
by a freaking dog.
No way.
Yep.
After you said that you haven't had any dogs?
If my neck had been okay today, I think I had a shot at getting 24 hours faster than 2022, which would have been about an hour and a half faster than I got here.
I've consumed more caffeine in the last day than I did in the last 3 months before that.
Hey, I don't want this to end. Make the leg bigger. Okay?
So much of the course is just, you're out there pedaling, and that stuff just is, it feels different.
I lost my wallet, I lost one of my eyeglasses, I lost a knife, I lost my hat too.
Great ride, man. Challenge accepted, achievement unlocked, in my opinion. That was great.
I felt like I was learning along the way because most I ever did was 100 miles. So I said, I figure, why can't I do 100 every single day? So I guess just believing in yourself as well. I mean, and then don't be a bitch.
I didn't understand fully the draw of an ultra distance race until I did one. There is a weird freedom in, it's still light out, I'm gonna keep going.
I just think we're all fucking nuts because we choose to put ourselves in pain. Days on end, we're in dumb clothes. No one can really explain why they do it. You ask anyone, you're never gonna get a straight answer as to why we do this, because I don't have one, but I keep doing it.
When I finished in 2022, it took almost no time for me to say, I think I can go faster. What's bringing me back again next year is I think that there is still time to be found.
get home, and I don't get on the bike for like a month. And it was a nice day out. I'm like, I'll head on L. And I swung my leg over the bike. I had like a triathlon water bottle cage at the back, but the bottles were sticking up so high, I manufactured some aluminum brackets so they would like drop just enough to like swinging your leg over and not way up here. I drilled them, I cut them, I filed them, except one corner of one piece that I just completely ignored. And I kept catching my leg on that little shaving every time I swung my leg over. What you see is self-inflicted. I did that.